Hey everybody. To make that animation you just saw, I used a new variation on my fake bendy bone Bezier rig. In this case, this new one doesn't use spline control at all. It's applied directly to the bones, which means that it can be applied after IK if you want to, which can be useful in some cases. It's also more powerful. It does more. It does most of the deformations that you can expect from bendy bones, including squash and stretch and scaling and all kinds of wacky stuff. Unlimited twist. So I'm just going to show you how to set it up real quick. We're going to start with the control nulls. Let's make a start. Let's set up a item shape for it. I'm going to make it a box. So let's take this box and copy it. Make an end. Rename this end. Move it a little closer. Now we're going to make a new null. Actually, let's go ahead and copy this null. Copy. I'm going to set the item shape for this one to none. And we're going to take this one, rename it end base. We are going to put it under the start null. Now what this end base does is it basically tells the nodal motion how long your spline is when it's resting. It defines the rest pose, so it's super important. Nothing works without this. And the important thing is that this item should have exactly the same position and rotation of your end null, but it should be a child of your start null. That's all there is to it. And there's one more null we want to make, and let's make that our secondary control. Secondary control controls things like twist and other settings. So let's call it secondary control. And let's put this under the end, and I'm going to make this a ring. Oh, I used the wrong one. So make this a ring. And I'm going to align it to the Z. I do this because this is a twist controller, and this is a pretty good shape for a twist controller, I think. Now let's go ahead and just make these some different colors so that you can easily see them. Let's make the handles green and the secondary controller red, just so it's easy to see. And let's go ahead and add some bones. I'm going to go ahead and number the bones. I'm going to make 10 bones. So now we have 10 bones numbered 0 to 9. And there's one thing we have to do here, and that is unparent the bones. We don't want a chain, we just want loose bones. The position does not matter. Nodal motion takes over their position entirely, but I've turned off parent in place, so they'll all wind up right in one pile there. So there are all the bones. Now we need to set up the nodal motion. So pick the first bone in the hierarchy. Don't I have a bone 0? Did I not make a bone 0? I didn't. Let's make a bone 0. 0. Why is that not one? No, it doesn't matter. Well, since it's not, okay, whatever, doesn't matter. Put 0 at the end, it really doesn't matter, none of that matters. Let's start with that guy. We'll add the modifier, Nodal Motion, and import nodes, Bezier bone.nodes, open up that guy, and we're all set up. Now, this is set up for a bone as a parent, so let's get rid of this and get an item ID instead of a bone ID, and plug that into the parent. And let's go ahead and fill in these things. Start point should be start, the end point should be end. Number of items is 10, that is correct. This is the first one, so set the enter 0. This item is 0. See right there, 0, 1, 2, blah blah blah. I've tried to put little notes here that explain as much as possible how these things are supposed to be set up. Parent, we need to define the parent. In this case, these bones are directly under the mesh, so we'll just square tube as the parent. And now we need the squash and stretch item, which in this case is the end base, and these secondary controls, which are secondary controls. And then we just connect everything together. And if you plan on using this with IK, make sure to have after IK set. So click that and get after IK. So we've set up 1. Now I have to set up the other 10, 9. So let's copy this, select the others, and paste. Now we have to go through them one by one, unfortunately. And set the right index for each one. A good idea, by the way, which I didn't do, is when you copy a Nodal Motion, have it positioned where you want it to be, so you don't have to move it like I keep having to do. So next time. This is the most tedious part of the setup, having to do this. I would like to find a way not to have to do this, but right now I think you have to do this. I might want to look at the NodeMeister plugin. That might make this easier to set up, because we could instance this whole node probably and only have to ever set this up once, so then any changes we made would propagate through them. We still have to set them up the first time, but whatever. There we go. We're all set up. One little thing we want to do is adjust the rest length. There we go. And we're done. Now the bones will, well, okay, we're almost done. We just had to bind the bones. Press R. Now we're done. There you go. It's all working as expected. Before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and turn on smoothing on the mesh so it looks nicer. So we have the translation, rotation, it's on both sides. They're the same, there's no difference. You can scale to sort of push the e's in, e's out. You can scale the other direction to scale the the bones. And this guy, your secondary controls, has some other cool functions. You've got your Z stretch. If you make that 2, it will now squash and stretch. It's now active. And this is, of course, it blends. It doesn't have to be 2. You could make it. If you think that's a little too much, you could do it between 1 and 2. There's no squash and stretch, total squash and stretch. So like maybe 1.5. Maybe that's something you want thereabouts. Yeah, see, that looks pretty good to me. The other thing it does is twist. You can twist to your heart's content until your mesh breaks. No problems. The other control option, the other option available in the secondary control is a bit of an odd one, but I'll explain to you how it works. Let's go ahead and delete this keyframe. So actually, let's just back up a little bit, get it back to base. All right. So if I go like this, about to run out of batteries. Hopefully, I'll finish this before I run out of batteries. If I go like this, stretch it. If you see here, the curve is scaling over the distance. That's an option. If you don't want it to do that, set the X scale to 2. Now, it won't do that. The ease in, ease out won't scale. I think this, for example, might be a better setting if you just want to have like a something that's being tugged by IK maybe. Whereas this might work better for like a tentacle or something. I don't know. Those are all the options. That's everything it does. Pretty simple. Pretty good. Squash and stretch. Yay. Yeah, so that's that. And again, this is IK compatible. It all works with everything else. It's all native. No weird plugins or anything. It's just that node. So I can turn that off. Yeah, thanks for watching.